What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Burndown YouTube channel. So today we're going to kind of keep it short and sweet. I want to show you a little bit of fill work, kind of how to mix some filler, and then we'll kind of knock some stuff down. We'll put it on, we'll goop it on the old project we have out there. Still waiting on some transmission stuff, so hopefully we'll get that rolling. And then I wanted to show you, we got the test in progress with the Top Don TB8000. So that's the third battery I put it on. After we get the results on this, I will conclude that video because I have it kind of in the pipe already. So by the end of the week, we'll put the review up on that. So far so good. Spoiler alert. Anyway, let's jump out here. And for those of you that have been following along, you know that I made this thing. We were pretty excited. It came out of the mold, then we reinforced it with some extra goopy fun stuff. But it's got holes in it, right? Nobody's perfect. She's a little ugly, but it rounded out. This thing did everything by the way I wanted it to do. Maybe we'll sand some of that off, but some of the stuff up here I'm not too worried about, but like on this edge where you may see it, we'll go ahead and fill that. I don't care if this thing wiggles, but anything that's kind of a bit ugly, like on the edges, maybe we'll throw a little something, you know, and then on here where it kind of went through. And then the back side I think is mainly, yeah, and then like underneath, maybe we'll put a little juice on that. So nothing too crazy. I just wanted to fill it in a little bit where it's a little lacking, like said corner. We'll just scoop it in there, kind of make it a little bit better than it is. Get rid of this. This is glue that's from when I did the other stuff. It kind of ran over, so we'll zip that off. But all in all, I'll show you guys how to mix up some filler. We'll apply a little bit. I'll give you a couple tips on the filler, like what I use and why. And then we'll keep this video light, tight, and bright and short, but it'll be something useful for people that want to spread filler. So let's jump on into it. Let me get my filler. We'll kind of go over it real quick, and then we'll put a little goop on here, and we'll call it a day. All right, class. For those of you that have never done fill work, let's start with some really basic stuff. First and foremost, a mask. I know that you guys are tough or whatever, but honestly, your lungs work just like mine. And they're gonna get full of junk and crud if you just continue to sand and paint and do stuff and you don't wear your safety. I can't help you there. I can't fix stupid, but I'm suggesting that you get a good mask and you wear it while you're doing this type of stuff. On to the next thing. This is gonna save your life right here, okay? So get good filler. I usually like to use the Rage Gold. I found this stuff locally, the Tech Ultra Gold. It seems to spread and work just as well as the Rage Ultra Gold. So it is cheaper, but it still works good. If you can't find like this brand, get a good quality filler. Don't buy Bondo brand 3M junk. Just go to the Rage Gold and just make your life better. It's gonna be expensive to get a can, but trust me, for the amount of money you spend on this, you're gonna be fighting yourself if you use cheap stuff. It's gonna load your paper, it's gonna take you way more time, and you're gonna get way more frustrated. So buy the good stuff. I like this brand. This is a local house brand that my guys sell. This works bitchin'. If not, Rage Gold is the place to be. And then lastly, you need something to clean stuff up with. So I use acetone. Acetone works good. You can clean your little spreader deal so you don't have to keep throwing these in the trash. After a while, they will get like scratches and stuff on them, and then the stuff will want to really stick and bake into it, and then it's time to pitch it and use another one. These are mixers for my stuff, so we'll show you that, and this is how I goop it out of there onto this thing. So this thing's pretty cool. This is basically a board, and then these are all glued together. These little tear-off sheets, one at a time. So you can mix your Bondo on whatever you want, but it's going to stick to it and kind of build up. So these allow me to mix just as much as I want, and then when I'm done, I rip it off, throw it in the trash, and I have another clean surface to start mixing new filler on. That way, this is kind of more production. If you're new to it, you're taking your time, you can get like a piece of cardboard or whatever you want. Just know that when it kicks off, it's gonna be stuck to that. And you don't wanna sit there and try to keep cleaning that or sanding it down to mix more filler, because it'll drive you crazy. But do what you can. If you're not doing a lot of fill work, you can just mix it on whatever you want. You know, get some cardboard or something where you can mix on it and it's not all floppy and weird, but just know that that thing's probably gonna end up in the recycle trash can bin, whatever bin you throw it in. Anyways, so here's what we're gonna do. I will crack this open, show it to you, show you what it looks like, I'll show you how I mix it. I think there's instructions on here, but I've mixed a little filler in my day. So I'll show you what I do to make life easier, and especially if you haven't done it before, we'll kind of share and show that to you as well. So let's do this. We'll crack this open and get started. And then before we actually get into this, because once this is mixed, the other thing too is you gotta spread the stuff. I'll show you this real quick, because once we get rolling I won't be able to really show you. So these are little holes and stuff I'm after. So instead of coming here and just trying to fill this one and maybe that little guy and then this one, we're just gonna do this whole deal like this, blah, and then we're gonna come back and go blah, and it's gonna make a big mess, and then we'll let it dry and then we can sand it. That way we know we're just loading all these dogs here instead of trying to chase them. And then in reality, you can see how this is kind of lighter, darker, lighter, darker, like that. That's because this thing wiggles. Whoop, 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 whoop. So if you really wanted to straighten this panel, you'd want to pull this whole deal like that, and then you come back and flatten all that fill work out, and then these spots would be real thin and this would have a little bit more, and that's how you get that nice and flat. We're not doing that. I'm just trying to get this edge, and then I'm not going to even get crazy with the cheese whiz up here because this is going to get mounted. So if I put a lot of filler here, it'll probably just bust and crack anyway. So I'm just trying to get the ugly here, and then we'll flip it up and over. And I want to get these edges here, maybe a little juice underneath too. So we're gonna start with doing this, because I'll probably mix up a decent batch, and then we'll make a mess here, and then I will do the rest of the stuff. We'll see how long it kicks off. It is the afternoon. It shouldn't take too long to kick, but I like the filler. A lot of people like to try to shave it down when it's soft and play with it when it's soft and goopy. I'd rather just put it on, cake it on thick, and let it cure, because then you can come back and zip it down and it'll sand off real good. If you try to play with it when it's a bit soft, you try to shave it and do whatever, it's okay, but you really can't sand it. Loads everything. So I found patience is kind of a virtue when you're doing this stuff. It's like anything else. As soon as you swipe it on, it's like swiping that credit card and you got 30 minutes to wait or whatever it is before the stuff's hard enough to actually hit it with paper. Otherwise you're just going to load and waste all your paper. So let me open this up, show you how to mix it up, and then we'll start spreading some fill. And you're gonna smell that sweet, sweet smell of basically fiberglass is what this smells like. I believe it's the same resins and everything. Really, this is just plastic in fiberglass resin, I think, for the most part. I could be wrong. But when you look in here, what you want to do is you want to mix her up, so we get it nice and creamy and smooth. All right, so after enough mixing, I like to scrape all these edges and then mix all that stuff in, and then I just kind of roll the boat. So you'll know after you burn, you know, quite a few brain cells smell this thing and mixing it. This is what it should look like, right? So this is pretty creamy. This is good filler. If you have something, you pull it out and it looks like, you know, ice cream when you pull it out of like the ice cream tub when stuff's like nice and frozen and it's like this big hard deal, don't do that to yourself. So get decent stuff. Again, this is good stuff for what it is. A little cheaper than the expensive stuff, but it works just as well. I think it's the same stuff. This is like generic brand of the good stuff, honestly. But so you want to get it all nice like that, right? So the next step to mix it, so you get your mixing surface. Here's a trick. I'm going to save you some time and effort, especially if you haven't done this. Make the pile kind of small for the very first shot. I'm going to probably mix up a little bit more than what you should be mixing up, but I want you to mix up a smaller amount, catalyze it, and then work with it. Mix it up, get it to where you can work with it, because chances are what happens is you start going to spread it and then you're starting to get picky about it. And what I want you to do is I want you to get it off the board onto the piece you're working on. But if you didn't have that advice, you'd be messing with it and you'd come back to put your spreader in your filler and it would be hard and it would just be catalyzed, and then that means the stuff you're screwing with on the panel is ugly, the stuff on your spreader is ugly, and the stuff on your board is catalyzed. And if it's catalyzed on the board, it's a waste, because that means it didn't make it to the substrate. So the first rule is whatever you mix up, you get it mixed and get it off the board and onto your piece, and then mess with it on the part or the piece or whatever you're working on. That's gonna get the material where you need it instead of throwing a lot away. I've thrown away a lot of filler over the years, mixing up too much, you know, then I couldn't work with it fast enough and it would kick off, or just getting too picky and not just getting it on the piece. So don't do that to yourself. And then you can also try a spot, and when you catalyze it, you'll know kind of how much time you have to work with. So when you mix that bigger blob, you know the clock is ticking, because as soon as you catalyze this stuff, it's game on. So here we go. We'll get our blob down, and you just eyeball it and go, I might need a golf ball or a softball or a bucket, depending on what you're fixing. So we're gonna go, we'll go like a baseball, in between baseball, softball size, right? It's probably gonna bite me because I haven't spread filler in a while, so maybe we'll end up with some on here, but at least I'll show you guys. And then, this is another thing I need you to do. You gotta knead this thing. Pretend it's like toothpaste, but the toothpaste separates. So before you put it on your brush, you gotta get it all mixed up. There are chemicals in here that will separate, and what you'll do if you don't do this, and there'll be times when you don't, I forget sometimes, you're gonna crack the lid and go to squirt it, and it's gonna be water that comes out. This is supposed to be a cream hardener. It's not supposed to be water hardener, right? So if you mix it like this, you knead in the dough. When you go to squirt it, we should have cream and not water. I don't know what all these chemicals are. I couldn't tell you. I can tell you what they smell like, but I don't know what they are. So we got it mixed up. So this is all a percentage ratio. It says it in there. It's like 2% or something per size. So what I like to do is I do my little round guy, and then I like to catalyze it a little. Well, this thing's kind of, my buddy left the cap off of this, of course. So I like to usually make a little line with it, right? But I think that's about it. That for this whole thing. And you can kind of tell when you mix it up, and I'll show you guys. So now that we're basically catalyzed, I'm gonna have to start working a little quicker and talking while I work. But I mix it in circles, right, to start, to get everything mixed in on the board. Let's see if I can show you guys. So we mix it in circles like this to get everything kind of mixed in. And it's a little light because it's turning green, but it's not green, you know, too green. So we'll give her just a little bit more just to make sure it's catalyzed. Okay, so my buddy left the cap off of this, so that's kind of annoying. It's not coming out creamy. It should just come out in a little deal. So anyway, I guess we should check that, but we're doing it on the fly. So you mix it all around, then once you kind of get it mixed, I like to fold it. So you drag it on the piece, work it around, and then fold it. So this should push some of the air bubbles out, and then fold the catalyst in. And you want to wipe this thing off really good, and you'll notice that it'll have like catalyst stuck to it. And that's it. So this is mixed. Everything's a uniform color. I don't have any streaks or nothing in there. And you'd only want to play with this as long as you have to. The more you play with it, the quicker it's going to kick off. So we're against the clock. I'm going to do this here. We'll kind of walk and chew gum. So the first thing, like I said, I want you to do is I want you to get the filler off the board and onto the piece. All right, so all my filler's off the board. It's on the piece. It's ugly, but now I can work it on here, and I have time. So if it kicks off, it's kicking off on the part, not on my palette, right? Right. And it frees up my other hand so I can actually do this piece because it's wanting to get away from me. Of course, I'm going to look really bad because I haven't spread filler for quite a while. But hey, you guys can all leave comments and tell me how much better you are, right? Actually, you guys are pretty cool. It's when the real internet gets a hold of me one day and they find the channel, they'll all tell me how good they are. I just want it on here. I'm not looking for it to be nice, by the way. So we're trying to fill stuff in. I'm not trying to make it pretty. So if it's a little rough and ugly, I don't really care. So this stuff feels like it's kind of starting to kick. So that is it. I'm gonna call that good. You'll know if you do it a bunch that you can feel it. It kind of starts, it looks like kind of peeled ice cream. Like, see how it's not smooth when I'm pulling on it? See how it's starting to fold up like that? Starting to kick off. So I want to do my finishing stuff like on the top here and get it off here, because we're going to come back, right, and do the top edge. So that way I don't have crap that I'm trying to go over or I have to wait for. So a little ugly there, but all in all, like you can see, so it's smooth because when I was pulling it, but then when it starts to dry, it starts to get all weird. This is going to be real ugly, right? Because those are low spots and high spots, so you're going to sand a lot of that down. But ultimately we're looking to fill kind of this top edge, so I don't really care how bad that is. We could have been a little bit higher with it, but again, so we ran this. We'll give this a minute to kick, and then I'm going to come back and run the top. And I'm just looking, I'll probably just pull the whole damn thing, like you said. And then I'm not looking to leave it too thick, so we're going to sand most of it off, but I'm trying to get this edge kind of radius. And I filled some of this stuff in a little bit, but we'll let this kick a little. We'll make another batch, and then we're going to come back and goop all that in. So that is kind of the basics of that. Let me smear a bunch on here, and we'll show you what it looks like. Again, if you've ever done this, you know that as soon as you catalyze it, it's kind of hard to sit there and walk and chew gum while you're doing it. And as you can see, it's not too bad. I haven't pulled filler in a while. Granted, you know, after you do it for a bit, I can pull it and it looks pretty dang nice. This filler's a little dry because, like I said, that hardener was sitting out or whatever. But all in all, this is fine. We're just trying to load it up anyway because it's round one. So we're looking to cake it on, not for it to be really nice and smooth or whatever, because we're just going to sand into this and probably cake some more on in the spots we need it. So give me a little bit of time. I'll bring it back, show you what it looks like, and then hopefully we got enough time today that we'll let it kick, and then I can come and kind of sand it off the first round. You guys can see what we're left with. So all right, before I let you go, you needed your acetone, right? So you got your rag, and then before this kicks off, while it's still kind of mushy, you just want to use your acetone and wipe your little spreader off, right? And then you want to do that, obviously, get her nice and clean and shiny and ready for battle again. That way you don't have stuff sticking on there, or the catalyst cream or something stupid where you're going to start making a mess and ruining things. So there you go. So a little bit of acetone, clean it up. You can reuse this, like I said. You'll know when it's time to abandon ship, because it won't really be smooth, and it's going to want to start holding the stuff on there, and you're going to go to wipe it off, and it's not going to want to let go. So, but yeah, so we did that, cleaned it up. We'll mix more up and I'll keep rolling, but I wanted to show you, yeah, that's what we do with the acetone. And make sure you start with clean parts before you're spreading filler as well. Forgot to say that, sorry if you skipped that step. I'll tell you what, Old Faithful is cool, but it's heavy, and then it has this exhaust guy right here, and for some reason it blows to the left, and then I'm right-handed, so if I'm zinging it, it's blowing in my face, and then as soon as it makes dust, it's like straight Bono dust to the face. But I did basically like a round, and then came back and did like another edge. And here is the cool thing about race car bodywork. I learned this from being on Hoonigan when I painted the yellow G35 that they trashed on that channel. I was worried about how it was going to look, because I was telling my buddy John when he kind of brought the thing over, I was like, dude, it's not going to be nice. I don't have enough time to get this done. And he was like, you don't understand. Just put paint on it. It'll look fine. I didn't believe him. I finished it. If you guys have seen that car in any of the videos, any of the stuff, it looks phenomenal, and it was not nice at all. So with that being said, this is race car bodywork. If you were doing something nice, this might be like you're roughing, and you would probably do a few rounds. On the other hand, we're going to call this pretty well good. I might guide coat it, and then we're knocking down like a 220 and then just shoot it satin black. So it's going to be underneath the bumper. It doesn't have to be spectacular. The bumper's not spectacular, but the car as a whole overall looks great. So with that, here is a look, and then you can see all the ugly that was filled in. If I run my hand over it, you know, we're pretty smooth. It's not grabbing me or gripping or nothing. Feel a little ugly in on the edge here. We could probably roll that a little bit better, but you can see it's going to have a nicer roll. Is it even? No, I did it with the DA pretty much like with one hand, but for race car and being satin black and being under the bumper, we are going to be looking like magic, guys. It's a little like wet still. I'll have to, you know, sand that in. So I was trying to get after it so we get it done in the video, but once this really dries in real well, it should be real fine, feathered in like that. That's no bueno. That needs to get sanded more. But you can see these edges. All in all, you know, this is finished edge. And then on the bottom, we just kind of got some of the ugly. Got a little bit of over on here. We can kind of get out of there. We'll dig out. And then on this bottom edge, we just filled in a couple, you know, a little of the ugly, and then up and around here. So I'm going to say that's a win and that's a part. So the next step on this thing, I want to mount it. So we'll make the holes, get it stuck where it should actually live. We'll get a good look at it and go, ooh, ah, that is the ticket. And then I will prime and shoot this thing at some point. I don't know if we can get to it this week, but I want to mount it, have all the holes, everything I need in it. No point in painting something and then trying to fit it. You want to fit it so that way when it's all nice, you can just bolt it on and you're not holding and measuring and scraping and banging things on it. That's what this stage is for. So I don't mind if that happens, and we can even touch it up before we shoot paint on it from here. So I hope you learned something. Leave questions in the comment section. If you've got tips or pointers, I know there's some body men on here, so you can add to it. Tell me what I did wrong. This whole thing's supposed to be a learning experience for most people, especially a video like this. It's supposed to be first timer guys. This isn't super duper pros. We're doing hot rod race car body work. We're not doing, you know, $1 million showstoppers. Chip Foose ain't gonna come get me. Can dig it. They're not calling. They don't want work like this on their stuff. But if you want to go fast and have a decent single color hoopty, this will get you to the track in style, one color. You guys know what to do. Like, subscribe, share. I'm out.